Today, we're super excited to invite our very first guest on the podcast, chatting all things freelancing and wedding photography. Right, today we have Matt James from Matt James Photography. I love the naming there, how you thought about that.
Yeah, I was kind of born with it. You'd be surprised that there are photographers out there that use the James and their name isn't even James.
Oh, really? Well, like I said to you earlier, it's good that you've got two first names. It sounds very cool. So let the viewers know a little bit about Matt James from Matt James Photography.
Been shooting weddings now for about 8 years. Photography in itself about 10. Started out doing studio work, child portraits, and that sort of stuff at home.
Yeah.
A couple of friends of mine have been in the wedding industry for absolutely ages. Said to me, "Do you want to come along to a wedding?" I was like, "Absolutely not."
No, thank you. But you didn't listen.
I said, "It's not for me." He says, "Come on, come and second shoot with me." I said, "Yeah, go on then and give it a go." Did one wedding, fell in love with it, never looked back since.
So weddings are a baptism of fire. With videographers, it's generally the first thing that people get into, isn't it? Weddings. Yeah. I don't know why that is. I think it's like the barrier of entry can be quite easy to get into it because you can, do it quite cheap, and weddings generally cost a lot of money. So some people are looking for a budget option. And when you're starting out, you might be their offer. For me, getting into weddings was my barrier of entry when I got into videography. I think some friends of a friend were getting married and they kind of wanted a video. I think they had already got a photographer, and videos generally second. We're second thought of, like, in the budget. And it was probably one of the hardest days ever. I think for me, the pressure of you haven't got a second take.
Yeah.
There's only one time that bride's coming down the aisle and you can't get her to redo it. So what's kept you in the game for this long when it's so difficult?
It is, but you know what? I say this all the time jokingly and flippantly, but every day I'm winging it.
Yeah.
Well, I tell myself that, but I must be doing something right if I'm still here, still doing it.
Yeah, 8 years is a long time, right? I mean, you say you're winging it.
Still nervous every morning you turn up to that wedding because, like you say, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. But I think if you're not nervous, you don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no priority there. There's no like making sure I'm getting this done and getting it done that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, nervous poos always every morning.
That might just be the diet.
The 3 coffees you've had as you've got
3 coffees.
To be honest, I think the only shoots I get nervous on now are weddings, and I don't do many weddings. Mitch, you do plenty, and you love them as well.
I love them. I don't actually get that nervous anymore. It's funny because
doesn't care.
Yeah. No, literally just said that. I do care. I get nervous about everything. Just when I really enjoy weddings. I really enjoy everything about weddings.
I enjoy weddings. It's that initial first bit when you get there, but then once you've introduced yourself to the bride, you've got the jokes coming, the banter going, they're comfortable, you're comfortable, you just crack on with it. Before you know it, you're going home, and the day's gone so fast.
And you're like, where's it gone?
It does go quick. I think out of the few times I do weddings, I feel like the day, it's like a 12-hour day. It is pretty much a 12-hour day, right? And I'm like, where has the day gone? Because it is non-stop intense. And I think if I did more, I might feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, maybe that's it, because I've done quite a few now. Obviously, you've done considerably more than me, but I've got to a stage where I'm like, well, if I just do it the same I've done every wedding, generally, then I'm going to get the same result, you know what I mean, that I've had before.
Yeah, that's a good rule to start with, of doing what you do at your previous wedding. Not every wedding's the same.
Yeah, of course.
Literally, no 2 weddings are the same. But if you have that set blueprint that you work by and you adapt it on each and every different wedding that you go to, you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, I think
unless something really bad's thrown at you.
Yeah, I'll have to ask you that. What's the worst thing? But I think I wanted to say something that Mitch said to me ages ago, and I've kind of kept it with me, is if I can get 80% of what I want at a wedding, then I know I can produce a good video. And like every wedding I've done since then, I'm like, Mitch says, I just need to get 8%.
I've pretty much lived by that. It's
such a good piece of advice.
Yeah, I've had a couple of
tip. I feel like we need that in a frame with a sunset.
Was it above someone's kitchen cooker or something like that?
If I could get 8%, I could do a good
Is
video.
This the new Live, Laugh, Love?
Yeah. For the wedding industry, start up a new Etsy shop. Yeah. So let's talk about nightmare weddings. What is the worst thing? The worst thing that's ever happened.
I get this question a lot, and it's always a boring response, to be fair. There's not really many nightmare situations other than weather. But then you can't control it. As long as you then say to yourself, it's out of my control, there's no real reason for it to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But clients, couples, they think, well, the weather's bad. He must pull something out of his hat. Like, he'll pull out a tent. He'll do something. But if it's physically not there, you can't do it. But in terms of like real nightmare situations, when I really early started out, I mean, this is more of an error on my part. I think one of my first ever weddings that I did, it was a bride prep at the house. And I thought, oh, I'll be really creative here. I'll take the shoes and the dress in the garden, hang it from this archway. It's really nice. Bearing in mind, this was at a bride's parents' house. I can say that because I've done many of those. This bride's never going to know.
She's not probably going to watch this.
I positioned the shoes on the grass. Dress was hanging. And you're thinking, oh, the dress falls. Dress was fine. Dad had cut the grass that morning. Grass stains all over these white brand new shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
And I'm thinking, were they already there? Was it me? Do I mention it? Do I not?
Did you mention it?
I didn't. So I didn't mention it.
Matt.
Massive dress, so you wouldn't have seen it anyway. She didn't mention it. So if you are watching, I mean,
wasn't me.
It didn't ruin your day.
Was your dad?
Yeah, drop me a message and I'll pay for the dry clean. If you're still married, you've still got those shoes.
Yeah. I wonder if they ever asked for a refund. There was that woman that asked for a refund because I think it was the second shooter.
Oh, yeah. The second shooter had an affair with her husband.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. And then she asked for a refund, and it's just like...
Because it was her second shooter.
Yeah,
it wasn't you, no. I think my first wedding just reminded me of a bit of a nightmare I had. I'm like, new to video, shooting this wedding, got my memory cards in, get to the first dance, all of a sudden look down, it stops recording, memory card full.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I was working with, do you know Ian France?
No,
you're not working with him. Ian's a great award-winning photographer, international, just like yourself. And I was like, mate, and he started recording a bit of video on his as well for me. And I got my iPhone out and started filming it. And I was just like, this is all I've got. And I edited it in, matched them up, and they never knew. But yeah, that was, I was like, okay, maybe I need more than 64 gig cards.
64, yeah.
That was it. I was like, yeah, it'd be fine. One card, old Canon, my first ever camera.
You know what? Actually, after that story, I do remember a nightmare situation that I have been in.
Oh,
with equipment.
Another one.
Okay,
to surface.
I don't know why I didn't think of this. This is the worst thing that's actually ever happened to me. God. Shooting a wedding 3-4 years pre-COVID. So yeah, it was a few years ago. It's a lovely hotel. Not saying where it is. It was in Cheltenham, but I'm not saying the name.
That's enough.
I do not want these clients to know what happened, even though everything was produced and everything was fine. Okay. Was about to do the dad reveal in the room, clicking away, bang, camera comes off with an error. Like, this is weird.
Oh no!
Turn it off, turn it back on, take the battery out. What's going on?
I've done
it again, clicked it, bang, error. I'm like, shit. Right, hold this. Thankfully, it wasn't the bride walk or anything like that.
Yeah,
it was just dad's reveal, so we can pause dad. Got my second camera. Always have more than one device, camera, phone, whatever you're going to shoot on. Switched over, popped it on, carried on. Bang! It happened on that camera. I'm like, okay. Whoa. Took the lens off, put on a different lens. Fine. It's all right. I'm working at a wider focal length, but it's cool. I'm cropping.
Yeah.
At this point, still don't know what's wrong. We get to the church. She's walking down the aisle. I've got the original lens back on where the issues was. At this point, I didn't notice the lens. She gets down the aisle, absolutely fine, thank goodness.
Yeah.
She's there. We get there. They start talking, clicking away, error again. Whereas a photo, you're not going to know this because
if it's taken, it's taken.
If it's taken, it's not. So whereas if it was happening to you guys filming, you're going to notice. So get through the ceremony, shooting on different focal length and stuff. So I finally find out. I get a chance to Google the error code. The ribbon in my lens has gone. So moving it.
What's the ribbon?
The ribbon is so when you
cable.
focus length, so
right.
you change it from like 40mm to 70mm. That's the ribbon that moves back and forward.
Right.
That's faulty. So
Yeah.
I've called someone up and they says it needs repairing. It's like 400 quid. Thankfully, I was shooting with a videographer that day, and he was like, "I've got a spare 24-70, but it's only an f4."
Right.
Obviously, we're shooting in very dark conditions.
Yeah.
So it wasn't ideal, but I did have a 17-40 super wide that I shot most of it on. Thankfully, the couple wanted a very candid day. Didn't want any pose photos at all. There was no group shots, so it couldn't have happened at a better wedding.
Yeah.
But from that day, I was like, I need to have a spare of the same lenses, spare
Yeah.
of this, spare of that. That for me was probably the squeakiest bum moment I've ever had in my career.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, you can't just go, hold on a minute,
Can
I know
you
you're
rewalk
walking
that?
I know you're walking down the aisle. Actually, that reminds me of another slightly nightmarish situation where it was a very cramped church, and I'm like, I've literally got a hole in the wall like this to shoot through because the vicar was a prick. And
Not many of those, is there?
yeah, no, not many pricky vicars.
Bring your Vickers.
And so I'm
like that.
shooting down through this hole because that's the only place he'd let me shoot from, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. Anyway, so I'm watching her walk down, and I thought, oh, she looks lovely. Dad's walking down, and I look down, and I'm not recording.
Oh,
Halfway, so I hit record, but luckily I had a camera at the back,
Well,
which I don't normally do. I know you do that all the time. So I managed to get the shot of her from behind, walking halfway, and then switch to the other one. But
and
I
it
was
looked
like,
perfect.
yeah, I was going to
and it
say.
looked great. It looked intentional.
It's crazy that they in that situation is perfect because it kind of like something happens, but no one would ever know.
No one would ever
I mean?
know. It puts you on your toes.
I got
Yeah,
80% of what I needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
So talking about like nightmares, people always talk about like the clash of photographers and videographers, and I have never had that.
I've had a horrendous photographer.
You know what?
Let's
because photographers are arseholes and videographers aren't.
well,
Thanks, Matt.
I can agree. Yeah, I can agree with you on that one.
And I don't get to work with any other photographers really.
Yeah.
And the only time I ask for second shooters is people that I know. That
Yeah,
are
yeah,
friends.
true.
Like-
it is funny. You kind of we would see the opposite to that because
Yeah.
again we only work as
Yeah.
only work with photographers, don't we? But it was I think I'd been doing it probably about a year, wedding videography, and I was actually shooting on behalf of someone else, another company. And I was shooting with a photographer. She was lovely at first, and then
At first,
He's gonna name drop.
and I can't even remember her name to be honest.
Oh,
with you.
memorable.
Yeah, yeah. And
Award-winning.
basically, the client, well, the videographer that I do work for, he likes to kind of follow the bride in and down the aisle a little bit as they come in. Not necessarily something I do, but that's what he wanted. So I'm trying to replicate what he wants to do. So I said to her at first, look, this is who I'm working for. This is what they want to do. Would you mind doing that? Would that be okay? And she was like, you better fucking not do that. And just started off like that.
with the bride.
No, the photographer. And
Oh,
just instantly, exactly. how it
because
was.
you basically was
Said-
doing the same style for the video guy.
Yeah,
that he was out
So I
for.
said,
Right.
can I do this? This is what he would want. This is a shot he wants me to get. And that's how she reacts to me. Instantly,
Robert,
like,
please don't do that.
yeah, just like, I'd prefer you not to. If someone said
Yeah.
that, I'd prefer you not to. And I'd gone, yeah, fair enough. And then I wouldn't. But she literally was like, you better fucking not. I was like, whoa, hold on a minute.
Steady.
You know,
Got it for a
Rein
great
it
start,
in.
then.
yeah. And then we ended up having a bit of a back and forth, and she was a bit nasty to me about it. I was like, whatever. And then halfway through
Whatever.
the ceremony, yeah, pretty much halfway through the ceremony, we ended up, when you stand next to each other, she was like, yeah, sorry about that. And I was like, yeah, that's okay.
Oh, she apologized. Oh, that's
Fair
okay.
enough.
Yeah. However, then we went and then did he likes the same shot for, do you know when they come in for the wedding breakfast, the announcement?
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, look, just letting you know, he's asked me to do this shot. You tell me yes or no, that's what you need to do. And she said, are you fucking for real? After today? She was like that with me. I was like, wow.
Okay.
Come on, you need to chill out now. Like,
She sounds like two people in one.
Yeah, she
honestly,
does.
yeah.
Bipolar.
That was her and a second shooter in one person.
yeah.
That's how she saves money.
Yeah.
She's just bipolar.
However, a second shooter was there, and she then tried to get her second shooter and said, have you heard what they do? I've never had a videographer that would try and ruin our shots. I was like, look, all I've done is asked.
Wow.
And even the second was a bit like, oh, well,
He's not trying to ruin your shot,
it just,
darling.
she was kind of she was on neutral ground, but,
Yeah.
Anyway, and what annoyed us.
Was she new to photography?
No, she was an established photographer. Her second was a bit new, but she was an established photographer.
Mature.
No, she was probably about our age. Do you know what I mean?
Mature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was on-
If I was cheese, I'd be a cheddar, a short cheddar.
But what annoyed me the most was we ended up going a bit back and forth, and we argued that much that the entrance happened,
And you
we
both missed it.
Yeah. I was like,
Classic.
"Are you for real?" And afterwards, I just had no time for it, because then we did some golden hour stuff afterwards, and when you don't have the time for anyone with that kind of attitude towards
No.
it.
So have you experienced anything mad with videographers?
Not to that extent. To be honest with you, I've had one or two issues where they've done similar things like that where they haven't asked, but I just take it on the chin.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I can get the shots that I need. I don't know how to put this across without sounding like an arse and cocky, but I'm confident enough to no matter what happens.
Yeah,
to that-
you can
back
enjoy
to
it.
what I was
I
saying.
can just go, well, I'll just get this shot, or
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
get that angle, I'll do this, I'll do that.
Which I think is really good trait.
And it's
of you,
nice when the
isn't it?
videographers do ask, what would you prefer? And I go, I'm not fussed. Do what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do what you need to do, and I'll work around you.
I think that's a good
That's
trait because
nice.
we've worked quite a lot
Yeah.
together in that sense, haven't we? And I've like to think I've always gone, Matt, do you mind if I do a bit of this? And you're
Oh,
like,
don't be daft.
sound. Yeah, just go on.
Are you for real, Mitch?
Yeah.
Are you for real? How dare you ruin my photography?
But I've worked with other photographers that have done that, and they've gone, well, actually, no, I don't want to do it. And they've been fine about it, but they have been quite precious about a certain thing, which I totally get. But that's the whole being flexible and knowing that you've got the capability to just adjust, capture that, and it's still going to be just as great, isn't it?
I've heard stories, not personal ones myself, but I've heard from other videographers I've worked with where they've fallen out with the photographer and they've had to have 2 separate sessions with the couples. Has that ever happened to you where you've gone out, photographer's done his thing, then the video's gone out after they've done their
I think
thing?
where
It's
it's
like,
unintentional, where
that's not good for the
but
couple.
not in like direct in that essence. Like I've had it where I've gone, oh, where's the photographer? And they've gone
Already
and
gone.
walked off, and they've gone and done some other stuff.
Yeah,
which
sorry
I think
about that.
gone,
Matt. That was one time that I did it. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
no names.
Yeah, I've only had like the photographer go out and go, and I'm like, oh, no, I'll come out with you. So
yeah.
take it about
Please don't
twice.
leave me.
Leave me. I'm important too.
No, I tend to grab. To be fair, you'll know because you've worked with me quite a bit.
yeah.
I'll grab you, or I'll ask you questions through. If I'm doing my shot and I go, do you want to get something?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, exactly.
And most
Yeah.
videographers are like, no, I'm getting my stuff. I'm more of a behind the scenes. And you'll get some that will jump in and go, oh, can I just do this? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because I'll go, oh, I'll have a bit.
You're a
of that.
nice guy. aren't
I
you,
like
Matt?
to work and bounce off each other.
Yeah, I think
because
that's-
you've got ideas.
Yeah.
I've got ideas, and I think both of our ideas together work
Been
so
quite a
much
few
better.
times where
And every day's a school day.
Exactly.
I learn from you guys. You guys can learn from me. It's not pose everything.
exactly been quite a few times where like the photographer has done something, even when I've been working with you, where you've done something, I've gone,
Oh, that's a good angle.
that's
I've never
good. And then
thought
I've
of.
gone, I'll just do that. And even
Yeah.
if it's not exactly the same, but you've positioned them or put them somewhere, I never even thought about it. And I go, oh, that's good. And vice versa. There's been a couple of things where I've done a couple of little video things, and the photographer's gone, oh god, yeah, go on then. And then they do
Ultimately,
it,
though,
it's great.
we're there to produce something amazing for the client.
Exactly.
So if you're going to get something great, I'm going to get something great,
There
and
we
you
go.
get something great because of me, and I get something great because of you. The only person that benefits from that is the client and ourselves.
Yeah.
Everyone's a win.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
clash, it's just going to end in tears.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree.
I've only ever had one instance where I'm not so much clashed with the videographer himself. A client had booked a videographer who was also a photographer. Wires got a little bit crossed. I turned up and it was like, well, he's going to go and shoot the groom. I was like, what do you mean shoot the groom? He's going to do the groom photos and the video, and you're just going to do the bride's photos, and you'll come in and do some video. I was like,
Oh,
that
less work for you, right?
doesn't no. It's
Because he's doing the photos for you.
yeah, it's photos that I can't edit.
That's what I was about to say.
I
Yeah.
can't put in the album.
Yeah, yeah.
So his work's 1,000,000% different to mine.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you saying? He was shit.
So, like, do you know when you've said to me that's a
didn't look, to be
situation? That's a situation where you've said someone else has done it, and then they've either edited yours or you've done an edit, but then it could be referred back to from someone else as your work.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
hold on,
yeah.
It's
So-
not mine. And how do you correct that without actually having that
So
conversation?
for me, that just goes on to when clients want to have raw footage and they then go off and edit something different. And you've done the main video, that's gone out, so your photos have gone out, and they maybe see some from that wedding and go, "Oh, they're a bit shit."
Yeah.
It's the same thing why I don't give people raw footage because
Yeah.
you don't know what they're going to do with it.
100%. And the same with the photos as well. Even if they have been produced, you send them to the client, they'll then whack them on Instagram, or they've re-edited them on the phone, then added an Instagram filter, then tag you, and you're like, whoa, remove
Whoa,
that. Before,
yeah.
I used to be hot on it and be like, please don't do this, please don't do that. Now I just literally just remove the tag because it doesn't represent me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
so you've had
absolutely
that a
not.
few times where
Yeah.
they re-edit your photos.
Re-edit the photos.
But I
add
love this
filters on.
filter in Instagram.
It's the
my
filter that
favourite.
they use in every photo they have ever post, and then they just think that's the natural thing to do again on that one, but it's
At
not.
first, I used to look back and look at it and question myself and go, I didn't do that. I did not edit that like that.
Those blacks are well
It's
crushed.
like, oh, wow, what's happened there? But then you just got to a point where it just got so out of control and everyone was doing it. And I thought, I just can't keep policing this anymore. Just remove
You
the
should
tag.
just do that many weddings.
I mean, yeah, going on to that. I mean, last year was a busy year, like 75 weddings.
I was going to say, is that pre-COVID catch-ups?
There was a couple of COVID catch-ups, and to be fair, I've probably
75.
done about 5 COVID catch-ups this year.
Yeah.
They've mainly been my winter ones. 'cause
I did a
Man,
COVID
That's a lot.
catch-up wedding yesterday, editing. From 2019 she booked, then COVID. then 3 times.
Did they pay in 2019?
Yeah.
It feels like you're working for free.
So
doesn't it?
basically, when the balance came through, and I was like, "Oh, how much have I got left?" And I looked, it was like 200 quid. I'm like, "Oh."
Those are the not the worst, because the clients are clients. All clients are beautiful, but
Yeah.
it's the worst in the sense of they booked you in 2019. They booked you on 2019 prices. They've paid you in 2019.
That's exactly what it is. I got paid in 2019, or when not. I got paid full. It was like just before COVID was happening, and they're like.
But I mean, back then you're grateful because it's kept food on the table. I mean,
yeah.
I had all the clients that did that back then. I was so grateful for.
What, they paid in full?
They paid in full.
Yeah, I had a
because
couple.
I didn't qualify for any of the help that the government was doing. So the clients in 2019 kept me in barbecues and beer.
Yeah, good old.
Because that's all we
so
did.
much.
That's all we did. 8 years is a long time in this industry. So I want to hear from you, a man of your wealth of experience, like for people either getting into it or just started. What are the things that keep you going for that long and manage to be successful in what you do? Let's hear some Matt James photography insights.
The thing that keeps me in it is being busy. I mean, if I wasn't busy and I had to do other work, I don't know if I'd be so passionate about it, because juggling this, because it's a very busy industry to be in, as you know. Got 3 kids, got a missus. But the best way to stay in it is be passionate. When I started out, I loved photography as a hobby.
Yeah.
And because of how busy I am now, I don't remember the last time I'd done any of it as a hobby. A tip for me would always remain time to keep that little bit of passion that started you in it.
The passion projects.
Passion projects.
Outside of weddings?
So whatever got you into photography before weddings,
Right.
Still do that, whether it be going out shooting wildlife, kids. I mean, don't shoot kids. I mean, it's frowned upon. I mean, with the camera.
Yeah.
Cars, whatever your passion is, whatever your niche is, still find time to at least do that once a month.
Just to keep the fire burning.
Just to keep the fire burning.
Yeah, that's something a friend of mine said.
Unless the passion develops into weddings, which, to be fair, I think mine does. I probably could, if my body would allow, I'd probably shoot 7 days a week. The only reason I don't shoot 7 days a week is the editing.
Yeah, you got to edit them.
The editing, the admin, all the things that come with outside of shooting weddings. It's not all sunshine and rainbows that people think.
What were the unexpecteds for you getting into it? As you know, going full time.
Tax.
It's like, what? How much? Yeah.
That's like 50% what I earn. What do you mean?
It's gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, tax. The cost of equipment, good equipment. Because if you're going to do it, you don't always need the best stuff, but as some people, we want the best stuff. It definitely helps. You get people that think, oh, you can shoot a wedding on an iPhone. Well, technically, you can. You could. But yeah, it doesn't look as good as your really big lens, though, does it?
No. You couldn't turn up to a shoot with that. It's like, yeah, where's your camera? It's like, yeah, this is it. And they're good, but no, I don't think. I think it's perception, right? You definitely couldn't turn up with an iPhone. Although people do that these days, content creators with the video side of things.
Worked with a couple of those.
Yeah.
Not been too bad.
That's been a new thing recently.
Yeah, we the first one
we worked together,
didn't we? Yeah, and she was sound. Like, it was a weird thing because at that time I was like, oh God, I'm not sure. And then worked with her. And she had
a couple of times. Yeah,
she had a good kind of outlook on it where it was like, I'm not here to replace
the old
photo.
So just in case people don't know what a content creator is because it's quite a broad term. Let's talk about that. What is she or they doing?
I don't want to label it as it's a video alternative, but they also supply images as well. So basically, it's either a couple or a singular person that turns up with a gimbal and a phone, and they create content purely on the phone from start to finish, some stills.
Same day.
Yeah. Essentially, they're with me like a videographer would do all through the day.
Yeah.
But they're making content on their phone.
Making TikToks.
Yeah. So
TikToks. It's more for social media content than anything being printed.
Do you know how you normally got your maid of honour and some friends just go, get a few snaps.
She's always over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Just getting in on this.
Yeah.
I had one guy.
Very helpful, though.
Yeah,
especially the one we worked with. I mean, I've worked with a couple and they've all been helpful. But in terms of like dress fluffing, it takes the pressure off my knees.
Yeah. I thought you said your niece. You got her involved now.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Normally they're like over your shoulder, the maid of honour, going just sneak in those shots. And I had literally one person, and I cannot believe they did this. And I was so in shock that I'm filming the cake cut. And I couldn't tell them to piss off, but they literally put the phone on top of my head, like touching my head, filming the same thing as And I was just like, I can't do anything because I need to get this shot. And I just looked at them and they went, oh, yeah, sorry.
I've had people like I need to
stand
move
on their toes.
Yeah, I've had it where like I need to move and like I'm moving and like, well, I'm here. And I'm like, right, but you still need to move. I need to move. I need to get James Petition on
I'm being paid to be here. You're not.
Crazy people.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's definitely a trend in the content creators thing. You know, I went to a wedding fair recently and there were I think it was about $750 a day, which obviously is cheaper than a videographer, right?
For a content creator.
Yeah, $750 a day.
That's quite high.
Would you? Yeah, no, I've seen a few that were like $750 a day. They do same day videos and give you all the footage and stuff at the end of that day.
It's not a bad gig for them, is it? Because they've already got the phone.
I must admit, it is like
I feel like
cheap equipment.
I feel like
cheap startup, should I say? Not so much equipment.
Yeah. I think she the one that we worked, I think she had a second one, didn't she? But I think she was about those prices. But it's like she said that she did it, got home, put some reels together while she was just getting into bed, and then sent everything over before she went to sleep, and had it the next day.
That's not a bad day rate then.
Literally a full day. You've got doing everything start to finish in that one day. It's not the same with us, is it? We'll do it, go home, and then we've got days. Days of doing everything else. Man.
Days and days. Yeah, you can get that in about 4 months.
Yeah, and they get it straight away.
Let's not go into delivery times. How long do you
That's a whole new episode. Though.
How long do you take?
6 to 8 weeks, I quote. Depending on busy periods, it can be up to 12 weeks. So like height of summer and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, on average, I'm banging them back out in about 8 weeks.
Do you think? Because you obviously get paid up front before you shoot the wedding. If you was to get paid after delivery, you would do it quicker. Honestly,
I think I would.
I probably could, but quality might compromise. If you know what I mean.
Because you're like, I must get paid.
Because you'd be rushing a little bit more.
Good way of looking at it.
Yeah, I would definitely probably rush a bit more because, like you say, I must get paid. My children need feeding.
Yes.
But yeah, and doesn't mean that the delivery time is longer because I'm being more lazy about it. It's just
that's definitely the reason for me.
taking a little bit more time.
I'm just like, I've got 6-8 weeks. I can focus on the work I need to focus on now, and then that's put on the back burner. And then 6 weeks around, I'm like,
I think
on the day. I had one client message me the day after the deadline and was like, when we're expecting our photos. I was like,
well, to be fair, it's after the deadline.
That's what she said. She said the contract says 6 to 8 weeks.
She was clock watching.
Yesterday was 8 weeks. I said, I do apologise. Thanks for spotting that out in my contract.
Yeah.
You've highlighted this. My contract was written a while ago when I wasn't doing so many weddings.
Yeah.
I appreciate you spotted this. I'm going to change that.
Can you just sign this new contract?
I said, as a goodwill, I'll definitely get it done and have it done for you by Sunday.
Yeah.
I bumped her up the queue a little bit just because I was like, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
No one
she
else was.
definitely had a countdown timer on her phone that says 3 months, 9 days.
She didn't say thank you.
Yeah, and
She did or didn't. Oh, standard, isn't it? Standard.
Yeah, well, it's.
I stayed up till 2 a.m. for that one.
Oh,
She should have at least said that.
You know what I mean?
Pet peeve of mine. Don't say thank
There's loads of pet peeves. It doesn't cost anything to be polite, does it?
I'm pretty much on that.
Yeah, Mitch is like, you didn't say please. Oh, sorry, mate. Please.
You apologise though.
Yeah.
I think we can agree, guys, that we could probably talk for hours. So I think we're going to cut that one there and make that part 1 of a part 2 series of Matt James photography. I'm going to wrap it up here. You can join us next week when we're going to talk to Matt about his processes on how he books the weddings right through to the end of the day when he's finished shooting. So catch you next week.